Okay, so we're going to be starting with the anterior thigh. There's two parts. I refer to them as part A and part B for the front of the legs, and then when we get to the back of the legs, there'll also be two, part A and part B. So the A part of the two is the lower quadricep, which affects more the knee, and the part B is more the hip flexor portion of the anterior thigh, which affects more the hip flexor, the upper part of the leg. So to start, what you'll do is start with the leg straight. What you're going to be doing is you're going to contract the hamstrings to bring your leg back, and as you do that, as this works, this lets go in response to the hamstrings working. So to demonstrate that, you start here, take a deep breath, and then as you exhale, you'll flex the knee, contracting the hamstrings. You catch the leg with your arm, and then you continue contracting the hamstrings. I like to think of this as your leg being a big nutcracker with a walnut here. So you capture the walnut and then you crush the walnut. And then you start here, take a deep breath, exhale as you contract. You're going to hold it just for about 3 seconds. Another way of doing this is just following your breath, so that when you begin the exhalation from this position, take a deep breath in, and then by the time you exhale fully, it's about the same as about 3 seconds or so. So I like to just follow my breath. You can do it whatever way works best for you, but I tend to just follow my breath. So I'll be doing that. I'll be breathing and then following the movement with the breathing. So again, for the lower part of the leg that affects the knee, start here, contract, hold, and further contract the hamstrings until the leg goes as far back as it's going to go. So you do that 10 times. All of these exercises are done 10 times, and you'll find that as you do 3 and 4 and 5, it starts to feel a little bit easier to do than at first, and then as you get 6 and 7 and 8, it becomes even more easy, and you might notice yourself moving more than you did at first. And by the time you've done 10 repetitions, you usually feel noticeably better than you did the first time. So it's pretty neat in that regard, because it's you see change almost immediately as you're going through the motions. So that's part A of the anterior thigh. Part B is for the upper hip, and what you'll do here is you start with your leg about horizontal to the ground. Once more, you take a deep breath in and you extend the hip. So what you're doing here is you're contracting gluteal muscles to extend the hip back. As this works, this lets go each time. So there's a couple of fine points here. One thing is from the front, typical mistakes that people make are if they're tight, they'll pull their leg out to the side. Instead of coming down here, they'll be out here. So what you want to do is keep your leg close to the midline of the body and move in that plane. So close to the midline of the body as opposed to out to the side. Even if it's tight, you may not be able to go back as far if you do it to the center, but it's best to do it with proper form, just like any exercise. So as you do it and you improve on the flexibility, it'll become easier to do, even if at first it's a little bit uncomfortable. So the first thing is we want to start, bring the leg back, keeping in line so it's close to the midline of the body. Second part is a lot of times people the leg that they're standing on, they'll lock the knee. When you lock the knee, that causes the pelvis to tilt forward like that. You don't want that to happen. You want to keep the knee slightly bent, which helps to keep your pelvis flat rather than tilted forward. So I like to tell people to imagine headlights in front of your pelvis. You want them to shoot out in front of you rather than pointing directly down in the ground. So keep your headlights pointing out this way rather than directly down. So pelvis is flat, leg is slightly bent when you're standing on it. So you go from this position, take a deep breath, exhale all the way, move back as far as you can. Your leg should be about in line with the rest of your body. So you start here, go back as far as you can, and you repeat that 10 times. So that's the anterior thigh, the two parts, part A and B for the anterior thigh.